Some of the things we're looking at, all of us are looking at, we're looking at eliminating non-revenue sports. Golf, track, swimming, and tennis. Now, why are they non-revenue? We don't charge admission. If we have a high school golf event at here in Ponca City, we don't charge people to go out and watch and play golf. If you go to the Masters, you got to play. You got to pay to do that. You go watch the Masters. We don't do that. You can go watch your child play, and there's no fee to do that. We charge the schools that come entry fees, and that helps pay for part of the cost of the program, but we don't charge admission. And when we talk about a revenue sport, we're not talking about sports paying their own way. Okay? When we say a sport is a revenue sport, that means that they get enough money through gate receipts to pay for officials, pay for the people who work the gates, pay cleanup after the game, and pay their transportation. Our athletic program does not pay for our coaches. It does not pay for uniforms. Okay? Those are all general fund expenses. We've looked at eliminating 8th grade sports. That'd save us $54,000 in coaches' salaries. 6th and 7th grade band and orchestra. That would save us $102,000 in salaries. Okay? Guys, I got to tell you, I cannot believe I'm even mentioning these things. I never thought in my career that I might have to do any of this. What is most likely to happen in the Ponca City Public Schools? If I had to make a guess today, or this is what I think you'll see. I think we'll have reduction in secondary staff. We already have high classes at the elementary sites. We can't, I say we can't. I guess you do what you have to do. If money, there may be a point out there where we have enough of a revenue cut that we have to reduce some elementary classes, but right now I don't see us doing that. But we've already cut elementary staff. We've been very diligent on making sure, as we've gone through tough times, that our focus has been on cutting through attrition. We understand that this is a difficult part of the state to recruit teachers to, and we definitely don't want to send people away who have decided to come and live with us and teach our kids, because we know very well we may not get them back. Okay? But the reality is, if you look at the way we look at class size, if you go back, the kind of the barometer we use is 1017. Mentioned that earlier. That's the law that set class size limits in the state, set class size maximums. And the maximum number of students that are 1017 that a high school or a 7th through 12th grade teacher can serve in a day is 140 students. And we have very few of our secondary staff that are serving 140 students. All of our elementary classes exceed class size limits. Okay? So the place for us to focus our next round of cuts is at the secondary sites. Now, there's lots of reasons for that, why that disparity exists. The biggest reason is because of course offerings at the high school. High school class sizes don't mathematically work the way they do at the elementary school. The elementary is pretty simple. You have, in the old days, you had 40 students. In first grade, you had 2 teachers, 20 kids in a class. But at the high school, you may have, instead of having 140 students is on a 7-period day or 6-period day is 27 kids in a class. But at the high school, you may have a section where a teacher has 30 students in a first-hour class, but they may only have 15 in the next class, because that next class it may be that it is an AP English class. And you may have an AP English class second hour and an AP English class fourth hour, and you may have 15 kids in each class, but you can't put all 30 in the same classroom because those AP English kids that are in the second hour class may be in band first hour. Okay? So they have to be in band first hour, or maybe they're in orchestra fourth hour, or maybe they're also in AP statistics, or they're taking physics. And so those classes that are essential for students, that we believe are an important part of offering the quality education that all the schools in this county offer, is sometimes limited by when programs fit in a student's schedule, and we've always tried very hard not to make students choose. I don't want a student to have to choose whether they take AP English or orchestra, or whether they take Spanish or they take Chem 2, or whether they take astronomy or Spanish. And so when you try to make those schedules work for the vast majority of your students, you're going to have some situations where teachers' class sizes don't just quite match up the way we'd like them to match up. But unfortunately, our students are going to have to make some choices. Substitute costs, we're discussing not hiring any subs next year except for long-term subs. What would that be if we have a teacher that has an illness? Teacher that has cancer, or they have a spouse that has cancer, they need time off. Somebody that has a baby, okay? Salary freezes. We have a we negotiate with our teachers. We have a contract and we have a salary schedule. We also have a salary schedule for support personnel, and you know, I have to be very careful that I'm not negotiating in public, but you know, it could be that when we go to the negotiation table that I may ask our teachers not to take a step increase this year. Now again, that's nothing I arbitrarily say we're going to do. We have a negotiation group. We negotiate with, I think we have 385 teachers. We negotiate with them. We have a great relationship, okay? But we may have to have a discussion that I've never had in my 22 years as a superintendent. I've never not given a step increase, not ever negotiated a step increase for my teaching staff or my support staff. And I don't want you to be confused. Those raises, that raise, that step increase we talk about, it's probably about 1.8% per step. We're not talking about cost of living raises. We're talking very minimal adjustments in somebody's salary. And then again, reduce student contact and/or employee contract days. We've had lots of questions because this rumor's been going around that we may shut school early down this year. In Ponca City, if we were to do something like that, probably what I think we'd probably do, instead of saying we're going to be done May 10th, we probably would just take some extra days off, keep our final schedule and our graduation schedule the same. I know that people plan graduation in advance, okay? And so we're still planning on graduating on May 20th, one way, no matter what we do. The other question I've been asked is, what about a 4-day week next week? Again, we've not made any decisions, but in our discussions, what I would perceive that we would do is we would not do a 4-day week, but we would just have less days during the year. Start a little later, get out a little earlier, maybe have some longer breaks. We would reduce the student contact days that way, rather than doing 4-day weeks. Is there any hope? Okay, right? taught Sunday school Sunday, and our lesson was on hope. Okay? So we need to be hopeful. Governor Fallon, to her credit, stepped up in her State of the State address and proposed some additional revenue for the state of Oklahoma. Okay? Some things we could do. We could expand sales taxes, and that means collecting sales taxes that other states collect that we don't collect. It also means finding a way, what other states have done, to collect taxes on internet sales. Now, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but in Oklahoma, we have what we call a use tax. And if you buy something on the internet, you buy from Amazon, and that company you buy from does not have a presence in Oklahoma, you don't pay sales tax. You probably never noticed that. You're supposed to report on your income taxes the purchases, the amount of money you spent online buying things that you didn't pay sales tax on. Or you can tell the state, they can look at the amount of income you're reporting, and they will figure your use tax for you. Last year, 2014 tax year, 4% of the people in Oklahoma who filed their income tax reported a use tax. Come on. You know, we know that's not right. We know that's not right. Because we all know the trick, right? I mean, my wife's here, I'm going to pick on her. My wife's learned this great trick. She orders something online, like there's this place called Zappos, I think that's a shoe place. And she orders, she says, well, you're going to see a thing on the credit card for $400 worth of shoes. Don't worry, I'm not going to keep all of them. But you got to make sure when I send it back that we get the credit for it. You know, so I guess I'm lucky because we send back shoes and we only buy 2 pairs of shoes at $40 a pair. I don't know. I bet some of you have had that same experience. You know, the internet's popular. It's more and more people are buying on it. But it is killing Main Street, Oklahoma. I see Craig Stevenson here. He can tell you how that's affecting Ponca City. At the end of the day, that little bit of money you're selling on sales tax, most of you wouldn't miss. Talked about agency revolving funds, agency revenue sharing. She also proposed school consolidation. She didn't put an estimate on how much it'll save. And I'll just save anybody from asking the question, doesn't save very much. The only time you save money when you consolidate schools is if you close schools and you don't hire the teachers that are in that school. That's the only real money. And if we got rid of every superintendent in Oklahoma and we put the money back and somehow got back into the classroom, we would still be 49th in what we spend in education. We would still only be above Mississippi. Our issue is not administrative cost. She estimated that we could spend school building funds. She wanted to take the school building fund and be able to use it for the general fund. That sounds good on paper, but again, if you do that, then you're talking about neglecting maintenance. And the reality is, the building fund, in some districts, it's a lot of money. In other districts, it's not very much. There are districts across the state that building fund is maybe $10,000. Ponca City, we have a pretty nice building fund. We get about $1.2 million a year in our building fund. But that's it. Now, I want to just briefly mention, President Boren has circulated an initiative petition to have a 1-cent sales tax that would be dedicated to education. The estimates are that for public schools, that would raise about $600 million. That money is committed to a $5,000 pay raise for teachers. So what that means is, our teachers deserve a raise, and I'm very happy if I could get every teacher in my district $5,000, as would every administrator here. But that doesn't do anything to keep our staff the same size it is. It doesn't do anything to hire back the positions that we eliminate. It doesn't do anything to pay for custodial supplies or to pay for paper or to do the things that are required to just operate the school on a daily basis. It doesn't fix that. But as President Bourne said when he was here, he's yet to hear a better idea. And I would echo that. I've yet to hear a better idea. The bottom line is that we have a revenue problem in Oklahoma. Former Governor David Walters has written a piece that I think is going to appear hopefully in the next week in the Daily Oklahoma, where he does an analysis of what's happened. And Governor Walters' analysis is about 30% of the revenue failure is attributable to the oil and gas industry. If you go back and look at where we were 2008, 2009, the price of oil was about $40 a barrel. And we had $198 per kid more to spend in this state. So it's not just oil and gas. It's part of it, but it's not just oil and gas revenue. You know, people ask me all the time, how do we change this? What has to happen? We have to ask ourselves some very serious questions as citizens. We have to ask ourselves what's important. Now, for me, what's important to me is kids. You know, it's important for me that we provide absolutely the best education we can for the 5,150 students that attend the Ponca City Public Schools. Every day, we provide the best education we can. We can't do that with the budget cuts that we've had so far and that we've had. We're not providing the same quality education in this district that we provided in 2008, 2009. We're just not. Are we doing a good job? Yes. Teachers working hard? Yes. Trying to do creative, innovative things? Yes. But you can't take that kind of money out of a school district and expect us to provide the same quality product. And I would challenge any business, any growing business, to do that. We hear all the time we should operate schools like a business. I don't know of any business that cuts its expenditures or cuts its staff when it has more customers. That's what they're asking us to do in Oklahoma. We are very committed in this state to low taxes. We're proud of that. Okay? And so we have to decide, how's that working for us? Okay? Can we provide the education that we believe our students deserve? Can we provide the social services our students need at our current tax structure? There's a theory out there that says government's too big and you have to starve the beast. Well, I can tell you what starving the beast looks like. It's 27 kids in a second grade classroom. It's going to be secondary staff members seeing 140 kids or more a day. And every time those class sizes go up, that's that much less individual attention that a child gets, which is critical in communities like ours when we serve the number of students we do that qualify for free reduced lunch. I don't think any of us want to pay any more taxes than is absolutely necessary. Okay? But we have to decide. And if you are of the opinion that what is currently happening is not in the best interest of the children of this state and the future of our state, then you have to decide, you have to pick different people to represent us. You know, a lot of people are mad at Mary Fallon. I was looking on Facebook the other day, and people are writing horrible things about the governor and blaming her for this mess. But you know, Governor Fallon did exactly what she told us she was going to do. When she ran for office, she said that she wanted to lower taxes. She wanted to create a better business environment. And she's done everything she can to do. She believes the things she's done will do that. So we can be mad at her because we don't like the results, but she did exactly what she said she was going to do. Representative Steve Vaughn caught a lot of heat last week because when the internet tax came before the House to expand how we collect internet taxes, he voted against that. It passed the House by one vote. His vote was almost the deciding vote. But you know, Representative Vaughn did exactly what he said he was going to do. He told us when he ran for office 6 years ago that he would never vote for a tax increase. And so, again, if we want individuals to represent us in Oklahoma City, that we have to do one of two things. We have to let Representative Vaughn know that we understand that times are tough in Oklahoma. We understand that you are a fiscal conservative and you are adamantly opposed to any increase in taxes. We understand that. But we're in a crisis in this state. And we have to think differently. And we have to let him know that, Representative Vaughn, I will still support you. I'll still work in your campaign. I'll volunteer. If you get an opponent because you vote to raise taxes and that tax increase helps our kids, helps our communities, keeps our hospitals open, then I'll support you. But you can't expect him to break his word to the people that elected him. You can't expect that. Or you have to find another candidate that has a different view. And you have to let them have that discussion in the campaign. And let the people in this community have an obvious difference in philosophy. And that's what's going to happen. Now, again, there are those that believe that what's happening right now is good for the state. That somehow, if this continues enough, we will cut spending enough, we'll cut enough positions, that we will wring all the excess out of state government. Again, that's not my philosophy. That's not what I believe. What I know is this, is that education cuts never heal. That if you experiment with the idea that we're going to put 30 kids in a classroom and see if that works, you can't get that back for those kids in that classroom. If a student has to make a choice between taking AP English, AP Statistics, Chemistry, Physics, Algebra 2, or being an orchestra, whichever one they give up, they cannot get that experience back. That'll never come back. They have lost that experience. They may take the course later, but that means there's something else they can't do later because they're having to do that. Tax cuts never heal. I was fortunate enough to raise my children in this state right after 1017 was passed. When we made a commitment to public ed and we put millions and millions and millions of dollars into public education. My children had that benefit. They got to take classes that were not offered in their schools before. They got to be in class sizes that were lower class sizes. They got that benefit. And because of that, they got a great education. My oldest son is a professor of mathematics at Creighton University, has a PhD in math from North Carolina University. I don't think that happens without 1017. I don't think it happens. He got that benefit. And today, the kids in our schools today, they're not getting that.